Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nikki, and you are listening to Evolution by Nikki, the podcast. Today's episode is actually going to be a special episode. I'm literally calling it Special Episode 13, Mean Girls. And it's going to be different than what you've heard so far because this is a story that happened to me recently, is still currently happening to me, um, that I really would like some perspective on from people outside of the situation because I know how I feel and I know how my family feels and I know how my friends feel, but I am just still very confused about what is actually happening here. So I wanted to throw it out to the public and get your thoughts, opinions, feedback, whether you agree with me or not. Um, I I just want to know if I am going crazy or not. So, this is actually rather long, so I am going to pretty much just go off of my transcript and try not to ad lib as much as I normally do because I know that this is going to take a long time to get through. So, um, as I stated, I have been dealing with something since the summer, and I just want to throw it out to you guys. In July 2020, we purchased our forever home in our dream neighborhood with our dream neighbors, or so we thought. Initially, everyone was amazing. People were reaching out, dropping off housewarming gifts, etc. It was really heartwarming to see how the neighborhood came together to welcome us. When I found out we were buying in this neighborhood, I reached out to a local mom who lived here already. She told me that they had a Facebook message group and asked me if I would like to be a part of it. Naturally, I said yes. So we all began keeping in touch, sharing info, just being mom friends. I became very close to one mom in particular, one family in particular. Our kids are basically the same age, so they always wanted to play together, whether it was bike riding or chalk or whatever. They just always wanted to be outside together. When the weather was nice, they'd be over at least 2 times a week to our house, playing, eating snacks, having juice boxes, the whole nine. Not once were we ever invited to their house since 2020. Not once. And not once did she ever bring anything here. Like, even when they came over together, the husband and wife, and we would be like, having a drink, a high noon or something, they wouldn't bring any for the group. They would just bring it for themselves. But yet they would let their kids eat all of my food and drink all of my drinks and make a mess of my house, but yet they never reciprocated. They never asked us over. They never let my kids eat their drinks and snacks. It was a very one-sided relationship, and I didn't realize that until it was too late. On June 5th, 2021, I had a birthday party for my son in our yard. Her and her children attended. Her husband, though, was not there. Her son and my son were on the same soccer team and were besties. During the party, the kids were playing with inflatable ninja swords that I had gotten for them as favors. Well, apparently the play had gotten a little too aggressive, and her son got highly agitated when the other kids were being as aggressive as he was. He didn't know how to handle being treated the same way that he was treating them. So when they started doing it to him, he didn't like it. So his mom went over, and I thought was going to try to diffuse the situation to calm him down, but what I saw shocked me, and it shocked the other guests at the party too, because they weren't the only ones here. She started kind of like egging him on and hitting him with the sword, saying things like, "Oh, you don't like it? How about now? You gonna be mad at mommy?" Etc., etc. My jaw was on the floor, as was the rest of the party guests. Like I said, there were two other families there, and there was about 8 kids in total, including mine. So everyone saw what I'm about to say unfold. Anyway, she continues to amp him up and then basically just walks away while his emotions are at 100. He's clearly at his breaking point. When she walked away, the kids started being kids again. They started playing again. My daughter, she's 6 years old at the time, she thought the situation was over and done with and that he wasn't mad anymore because he walked over to the swing set, walked back to the swing set, laid his belly on the swing, and started swinging on his stomach. My daughter still wanted to play with him, so she started trying to get him to do the ninja sword again. And he turned around and he fucking snapped. I've never seen anything like this in my life. He definitely turned around and saw red. Nothing but red. He immediately started delivering body blows to my daughter. He was pummeling her face and chest, like full blown with fists. We were all in shock, and it actually took a second to register what was really happening. I wasn't close enough to do anything. I was standing in my back doorway, and my husband was closer to the swing set, as was his mother. She was sitting just slightly off to the side of the slide. So we're all witnessing this, and we're stunned. My husband grabs my daughter and rips her away. His mom screams and yanks him off her. He runs away, screaming and crying, and she goes after him. I scream something along the lines of, "Get the fuck out of my house." I think I might have even said, "You're never allowed back here again." I definitely said some shit just off the top of my head because of what I had just witnessed. I literally had just witnessed my 6-year-old daughter be physically assaulted in my own yard. The entire party stopped. No one talked. All you heard was my daughter hysterically crying, and then when he ran off, he ran to the side of my house, and his mother followed him. And we heard everything that he said because he started just going off on his mom. And now he's only 5 at the time. And he's saying, while screaming, turning red, and shaking, you heard clear as day, the whole party heard. He said to his mother, "You don't care about me. You never care about me. You never care about my feelings." Now, I'm no expert. I'm not a child psychologist. I'm not even a counselor yet. But in my opinion, that's some deep shit. I have 10 years of teaching experience, and my kids are 7 and 5, and I have never heard such a thing from any kids that I've been in contact with in school or in my personal life. I've never heard another child say those things before unless they really came from a deep place of pain and hurt. So I was basically like, if your kid feels that way at 5 years old, I think you have a serious problem on your hands. And on top of it, he obviously has impulse control issues and can't control his anger on his own. Based on what I saw that day and what happened afterwards, there's no doubt in my mind that this is not the first time that this has happened. I don't know if maybe it's ever happened with a friend before, But after I saw this and heard the response of the mom, I could definitely see him having done this to his sister before and getting away with it. In all of the times that they were at my house, I saw zero disciplining take place. Those kids did and said whatever they wanted. But again, I didn't think about any of this until after the incident happened. And I was trying to make sense of it all, trying to figure out how this happened. My daughter was absolutely traumatized. She was hyperventilating, crying hysterically, asking why that happened. What did she do wrong? Why would somebody beat her up like that? These are all the things that she was crying and saying to us, and I didn't have an answer. Literally, all I could say is, baby girl, mommy is so sorry that that happened to you, but I promise it will never happen again. I also said, what happened wasn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. His reaction was absolutely not normal. And like I said, I've never seen anything like that in my life. It was deeply distressing to everyone at the party, as were his comments to his mom after the incident. To make matters worse, he ran out of the yard and she didn't know where he went. Then she realized he ran out of the gate and to the front of the house and down the block. She ran out and never came back, never texted, never apologized. She never talked to me again. Like I said, the dad wasn't at the party. I believe he was away on a business trip or something. And he came back and he was obviously informed of the situation because at this point it had been days and she hadn't apologized, etc. And he never came, like as the man of the house, as the father, as the father of a little boy who put his hands on a girl. You know, I think that that speaks tremendously to their character and who they are as people, as human beings, as members of a community, that they couldn't recognize the harm that their son caused and inflicted on my family, the guests at the party, and especially my daughter. They never acknowledged their responsibility. They never expressed their displeasure with what happened. And that to me is a huge, huge problem. But as if that wasn't bad enough, all of the other families, which there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 women in that group chat that I was telling you about. So that's about 6 to 8 families that I was having direct contact with on a daily basis. But after this happened, the other families started to freeze us out in the neighborhood. We would drive by, and once upon a time, they would wave at us, say hi, we'd stop, roll down the window, shoot the shit. Now they won't even look at us. We wave, they don't wave back. So it's obvious what's going on at this point, right? This is July, and now July, August, and the beginning of September, I haven't spoken to anyone else in the group, and I still haven't received an apology. I knew exactly what was happening. She'd been in this community for years. She had good established relationships with these women, with these families. I, on the other hand, am a newbie, and they don't know me from Adam. So it was no biggie for them to take her side and to ignore me and my family. So this was the entire summer of 2021. We didn't talk or hang out with a single person in the neighborhood, all because she obviously told some bullshit ass story and twisted it so that I was in the wrong not her and her child. In September, the group chat started popping all of a sudden. They're complaining about the location of the bus stop. I swear to God. Now listen to this story. The bus stops are placed equidistant in the community so that everyone can get to it with relative ease. There are about 2 to 3 bus stops on my street from beginning to end, which is about 2 blocks. There's about 3. The bus stop that we go to is directly across from my house, just diagonally, right? So it's not directly across, parallel, it is diagonal. You know what these fucking bitches did? They start complaining about me and my family in the group chat, saying it doesn't make sense for the bus to stop there because we're the only family utilizing the bus down on this side of the block. The other women and families happen to live closer to the first half of our block, and I live towards the second half. They proceeded to strong arm me, or they were attempting to strong arm me, by saying things like, well, we have 10 kids down this side of the block. It's not fair that we have to walk our 10 kids an extra block. I obviously ignored these messages because I could not believe what they were asking me. I was fuming. The gall that it took to actually say this and then go out of your way to try to make me feel guilty so that I do something that benefits you. One mom from soccer who is in the group reaches out to me personally, one-on-one. She sends me a Facebook message. She says one sentence. Would you mind moving the bus stop down the block to our corner because we have 10 kids down here? I said 2 sentences in this whole thing in the other group chat, in this separate chat with this other woman. I said 2 sentences. I said, I'd prefer to keep it where it is. It's literally right across the street from my house. And that was the end. We were shunned from the community. Completely shunned. No one would speak to us. No one would look at us. And it gets even worse. My kids take the bus home from school every day. And that first week, after I did not agree to move the bus stop, my daughter would come home saying that she hates the bus, and she would be crying sometimes, saying that she didn't want to take it anymore. But at first she didn't say why. I can't remember exactly how many days it was before she said something about why, but when she did, she said the girls on the bus won't even look at me. When I look at them and smile and wave, they whisper and laugh and turn to each other. They were laughing at her. They were talking about her. And I didn't find out what they were saying until later. So what seemed to be happening to me is that the sister of this little boy who assaulted her was being told by her mom to get everyone else, the other kids in the neighborhood, the other kids on the bus, to get them to essentially bully my daughter, not by harming her physically, but harming her emotionally and mentally. They were icing her out. They were making her feel bad. They were affecting her self-esteem. And she had no idea what she had done. And I never said anything to either of my children about the bus stop. They have no idea what we were fighting about, what we were arguing about, what we were trying to stand up for. All they know is that now they won't talk to us. And I don't want to tell my kids what the problem is because this is an adult problem. It has absolutely nothing to do with the children. They should not be involved at all. And as an adult and as a parent and as a professional who deals with children, I cannot even fathom getting a 7 or 8-year-old in cahoots with you and these other mean girl moms to bully my children on the bus. I was disgusted. It got so bad that at the end of the first week, the principal had to get involved. She called and spoke to me, spoke to the other mom, and spoke to both girls in person at the same time in the hallway outside of their classrooms. Both girls said that they really, really like each other and really, really wanted to just be friends again. So the principal asked the little girl, "Why can't you be friends with her anymore?" And I swear on everything I love, the little girl said, "I don't know. I know there's a problem, something about a bus stop." When the principal called me and told me what had happened during their conversation and what was said, my heart broke. It broke because these women were mad at me and my family because I wouldn't inconvenience us by making us walk an extra block in the cold, in the rain, in the snow, in the heat. I wouldn't switch it to benefit them. I wouldn't inconvenience my family and my children to convenience them. And they literally told us that we were pieces of shit. After I got off the phone call, I said to my husband, I cannot go to the bus stop anymore. These women do not know who they are fucking with. I'm from Bayonne. These suburban stay-at-home moms have no fucking clue the fury I can unleash on this whole neighborhood. All I need to do is make one phone call. One phone call. And their perfect little lives, their perfect little community that they've created and shunned anyone who doesn't conform to their ideals, which I know for a fact because my immediate next door neighbor was shunned from that Facebook message group for sticking up for another local mom that they were bashing and talking shit, saying she wasn't a good parent because her neighbors, the kids were ringing the neighbor's doorbell, playing ding dong ditch, and they basically attacked this mom and said she was a piece of shit parent and her kids were, whatever. And the other mom stuck up for this mom, and then both moms were shunned from the community. So I know I'm not the first, and I probably won't be the last, but I'm also the only one that has the balls to fucking say to the community and to anyone who's listening right now what these women really are all about. I said to my husband, you need to be the one at the bus stop because I do not trust myself. If one of them even looks at me sideways, I will go off. And I have too much to lose to catch an assault charge at 33. So I will not put myself in that situation. The next day, my husband goes to the bus stop. Well, the moms see this and they send their husbands. So at the bus stop, right across the street from my house, these men show up and verbally assault my husband. They all start chiming in one after another. I was listening from the window. That's how close the bus stop is, that I could hear their conversations. I could hear what they were saying clear as day. They were saying, "You're a selfish piece of shit. So you're saying fuck us and our kids, right? Fuck us and our kids. Yeah, welcome to the neighborhood, asshole." And on and on. It kept on like that until the bus came. He kept his cool and he said, "I'm selfish? We're selfish? Are you listening to yourself right now? You asked us to move a bus stop closer to you and farther from us so that you and your family didn't have to walk as far. I think that's pretty fucking selfish if you ask me." And then he said, "Oh, so fuck me, right? So you're asking me to move the bus stop, fuck me and my family, right? So if I'm saying fuck you with my actions, what are your actions saying?" Luckily, the bus came at this point, and that was the last time that he spoke to any of them. Now, I would never normally broadcast this story. I would have dealt with it privately, but they took this shit too far. Now they're telling other members of the actual town community, not just our neighborhood, bad things about me and my family. So much so that I showed up to a basketball game the other day, and the moms that were there, 3 of the moms, had folding chairs out on the stage. And I was the 4th mom there. And I didn't see any chairs. I had never been to that school before. I didn't know where they would be. So they saw me like struggle to, sit down against the wall and get comfortable. And they watched me. And then about 15 minutes later, a guy comes in, a father whose kid is on the team. He's been there before, so he knows where the chairs are. So he shows me, and he tells me where to get them from. So these women, one of which is a mom in my community, a mom that is in this Facebook message, she would not tell me or let the other moms tell me where the chairs were, simply because of this bus stop situation. I think this whole thing is fucking ridiculous. Like, just ridiculous. I have moms who know who I am because of this bus stop story. I swear to God. And it's funny because no one that I tell this story to can believe that they actually had the audacity to ask me to do this after icing me and my family out for 3 months. And then I don't do what you ask, and you have your kids bully mine on the bus? What kind of parent, especially a mother, encourages that type of behavior or allows that type of behavior? The reason I'm going public now is because these women are seen as active, upstanding members of the community. These women are in charge of the PTO. They run the town rec baseball program. They have a far reach, and they are established in this town, in this community. People believe what they say and value their opinion. We, on the other hand, are newbies. We've only been in this town for 3 years and only in this neighborhood for 2. And neither of us work in town, and the kids weren't old enough to really participate in rec sports until we moved here. So we didn't know anyone at all from anywhere. This whole thing felt like a total mean girl situation. They were trying to force me into submission and strong arm me so that they could get their way. And you know what? These See You Next Tuesdays got what they wanted anyway. Listen to this shit. The bus stops on their corner, the corner they wanted, every morning because my kids don't take the bus in the morning. They convinced the other bus driver, the bus driver who drives home. So my kids take the bus home. They convinced one of the bus drivers to stop halfway in the middle of the block so that they don't have to walk the full way. When I saw this the first time, I literally almost died. I was like, you have to be fucking joking. And the best part is, they still don't talk to us. They got what they wanted. They don't have to walk down the block. They got exactly what they wanted. But they still won't talk to us, and they still won't let our children be friends. There is one mom who came to me at a birthday party and apologized. It was in October. She apologized. She said that the situation had gotten way out of hand, and she wanted to let me know that her children were never involved in the bullying. And my daughter did confirm that her two daughters were not involved. And they are friends with my daughter. And actually, yesterday, they invited my son and daughter over to their house, and they played with them for about an hour. But that is the first time since June 21 that anyone has showed any kindness towards me and my family. One of the husbands actually runs the HOA for the neighborhood and was looking for a landscaper for the community. He called my dad, who is a landscaper, who he didn't know was my dad at the time, and asked him if he wanted the contract. My dad said, no, my daughter lives here and I don't want to get involved. He said, oh, who's your daughter? He said, Nicolette on X street. He says, well, your daughter has ruffled a lot of feathers in this neighborhood lately. My dad had no idea what he was referring to because I hadn't told him any of this. But when he repeated to me what this guy said, I had to tell him the full story. And he was just as perplexed and angry as I was. He wanted to know last names. He wanted to know where they worked. He was pissed. He was in full-blown Grandpa Bear mode, as was I when it first happened. But I knew I had too much to lose to do something stupid. So I waited for karma. I knew it wasn't going to be in a week, maybe not a month, might not have even happened in a year. But eventually, karma would kick them in the ass. Because what they did, what they're doing, is unacceptable on every level. So now I saved the best for last. The best part is she, the mom of the kid that assaulted my daughter, did not know that I have a Ring floodlight camera in my yard that records 24/7, 365. So the entire assault and aftermath and the things that he said to his mother that I told you he said, I have the entire incident recorded on camera. I watched it after, and I never looked at it again because it made me sick. All I have to do is call Ring, ask them to go back to June 5th at 1 o'clock and give me the footage. If you don't believe me, if you're a member of this community and you think I'm bluffing, I will post the video to all of my social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'll post that shit on Pinterest. And then we'll see who's on whose side. Then we'll see what the lie is and what the truth is. Because if that's what you want, if that's the type of fight you want to have, I will bring it every single time. So, let's let the people that this woman bullshitted and lied to try to defend her once they see the video. I bet she'll lose her status of mayor of our street. I shit you not. That's what she calls herself. And actually, they call her too. They call her the mayor of our street. It makes me want to vomit profusely because this woman is nothing special. And she clearly has no respect or regard for other people or their children. She never apologized. A few months after this started, the kids were wanting to play outside because it was nice. So we walked down to their end of the block because I didn't care if they played with this kid and his sister again, because I was trying to be the adult and I was trying to let the relationship evolve and progress naturally. And the little boy did apologize to my daughter himself. But the mother and father still will not speak to me, will not look at me. When we were at the other end of the block, the other moms stood on the other side of the driveway talking amongst themselves, and I stood on the other side of the driveway with my husband, texting and keeping myself occupied because it was a very awkward situation to be standing that close to these women in such proximity that I could hear their conversations, but they were not acknowledging my presence or my husband's presence. These women hold power and have influence in our community. They are self-centered mean girls who blacklist you if you don't conform to the apparent rules of the neighborhood. I'm sick and tired of keeping my mouth shut just so I can avoid confrontation. So if there's anyone in my town community, anyone in my neighborhood, in my HOA, who comes across this episode, feel free to show up at my door, knock, ring the bell, and say whatever you have to say to my fucking face, because I am sick of this shit. Let's try and see you lie your way out of this one. Thank you all so much for listening. Obviously, like I said, this was a special episode. I want to thank you for allowing me to publicly tell the truth. It's not my truth, it's the truth. It is recorded on camera, and the principal got involved with the bullying situation, spoke to the children. Everything that I have said to you in the last 39 minutes and 10 seconds is 100% accurate and factual. And if you don't believe me, I will post the video and I will call the principal and record the conversation, and I will post that as well. Now I have the opportunity to set the record straight. I really appreciate all you guys listening. I appreciate your constant feedback and support. And the next episode is going to be episode 14, which is going to start where we left off last time, which was with me meeting my now husband and him asking me out, officially asking me to be his girlfriend on Valentine's Day. I'm going to pick up from there, and you will get some more of the inside scoop on how our relationship started. Have a great week, guys.